Happy St. Patty's Day for everybody out there. Even if you're not Irish, then you can still enjoy a bit of green. Can I even begin to tell you how many texts I got this morning? Wear green, wear green. Okay, here we go. So I'm just going to dive right into the questions. There's so much that's going on between the Middle East and here at home with the private equity and everything. So hopefully you guys have a lot of questions in those regards, and we'll take it from here. And I'm going to start with Cynthia Galbavi. And if I butcher anybody's name, I'm really, really sorry. But she says, I don't understand why silver is not more valuable than gold when gold is more plentiful and silver appears to be way less. Well, first of all, gold is the only asset that could support being sound money, the primary currency metal, because unlike silver, it does not get used up. And so remember, there are 4 key pieces to sound money, or that this is how it was sold anyway, as a tool of measure. And that is the one little piece that makes gold the anchor, because it can be used as a long-term tool of measure since it does not get used up. And you need something that is solid and consistent and always there. But this is also why I say silver is the fuse. And you see it is a lot more volatile, because even though both physical gold and physical silver are used in so many of the global sectors in the global economy, there still is that differentiation where silver really gets used up. So that's why you think, well, this should be more expensive because there's less of it and there's even going to be less of it. But you need an anchor for the monetary system, and gold not being used up, but rather being indestructible is the tool that gets used. And that's the difference between the two, and why you would see it like that. And Sheila Perkins 4375 asks, what is your opinion of proof coins as an investment tool? Not my favorite, because I've been in these markets long enough to see that there are times when the wholesalers, if there's tight supply, then those premiums will be ginormous, and the bid-ask buyback spreads on top of that will also be ginormous. And I've also seen that collapse. And proof coins, you can hold them in your IRA. So even though the mint wants to tell you that they're numismatic, they're in exactly the same category as any other kind of gold that you can hold in an IRA. And as you probably know, if I can hold it in an IRA, I'm not talking about silver, I'm just talking about gold. But if you can hold it in an IRA, then I'm not having it. Because truthfully, and the bottom line is, that's monetary gold. And it's also the kind of gold that's easy to control using the spot gold contracts or spot silver contracts, depending upon what you're looking at. So I am not keen on proof coins personally, but everybody needs to do whatever it is that they're going to do. And by the way, if this is a choice that you make to hold your gold and or silver inside of an IRA, then it's kind of inside the system. So I would recommend having the kind of gold, like this kind, to properly diversify that. This is what you would hold yourself. And so if there is an overt confiscation and they do a big sweep of IRAs, boom, you're made whole. And Zero Game sends, hello, Lynette. What do you think about stock certificates getting phased out? And what is your take on the DRS ownership? Thank you. Well, let me tell you, this has been a long time in coming, and I was there in the beginning in the 80s when I was a stockbroker, and everything, this goes to all of that, assets in-house, so that the legal ownership, if you're holding the stock certificate, even if you're holding the stock certificate in your name at the company, then legally you are the owner. And what that means is that equity that you have cannot be used by anybody but you as collateral to borrow or do whatever else. Well, Wall Street and the banks, not just Wall Street, but JP Morgan, the banks, they're pretty greedy. And they make most of their money on trading. And so what do they need? They need the ability to borrow more and more and more and more and more. They're not doing it out of savings. They're doing it out of borrowing. And that means they need more and more and more and more collateral. And that's really what all of that is about. It's giving the banks more collateral because they are stretched really thin. And if you stop and think about when Lehman went out, it was a 30-to-1 leverage ratio, which means that for every $1 in equity, they had $30 in debt. And even though they want you to think that the balance sheet of these banks are so much better than they were, there is so much that's being done, which is starting to unfold. I mean, over all these years, and some of you are new to me, so you don't really know a lot about my work, but I've been talking about the private equity and the private debt markets forever, really since 2008, because things shifted. And much as they wanted you to believe, the powers, those that are in power, the banks, that there was distance between the banking system that had just collapsed and been bailed out and the private equity and debt investors, it was very obvious that a lot of that money was coming from the banks. And now, what are we seeing? We're seeing big bank after big bank after big bank admit to the level of exposure that they previously had denied. Plus, I'm sorry, but I mean, you would have to be a forensic accountant, which I am not. I'm not an accountant, and I'm certainly not a forensic accountant, but I know how to dig into stuff. The level of leverage is substantially higher. Yeah, maybe that leverage is hidden a little bit more, but it's substantially higher than it was in 2008. To the admitted tune, not my supposition, but what they're admitting to over almost $7 quadrillion. How do you bail out $7 quadrillion? Do you think this would have absolutely zero impact on inflation or anything else? I mean, so yeah, that's what I think about it. And the tokenization is also about giving them more collateral and access to the collateral that they didn't have access to before. Like, boy, if they could collateralize, if they could tokenize this, they totally want to tokenize this. I'm not gonna do it voluntarily, I'll tell you that. So yeah, what do I think? I think it's all about the banks, their ability to borrow more and use your equity and all of that ownership. We are not legal owners. We are beneficial owners. That's it. Doesn't mean anything in a court of law. Doesn't mean anything at all. And Sandra Dana 06 asks, I don't want to pay 28% capital gains tax on gold or silver. Is there a legal way to get out of it? At this point, probably not, but 28% of something is way better than 100% of nothing. And so you kind of weigh you have to weigh everything, honestly. But if you want to know a way around that, then you join the Sound Money movement and you demand to get redeemable gold back in the system again. On a state level, you've seen where states have been eliminating the tax on gold and silver. They should be. If enough states do it at that level, then we're going to have a shot at getting it done in the federal level. And also, if it's part of our monetary system in a redeemable way again, there won't be any tax on it. So you want to change that? Take back control. You want to take back control? Have redeemable gold in the system again. That's how we do it. And that's how we do it legally. It's a big battle, but if we get 3%, we can do it. And Ashton Vogler 9515 asks, Lynette, how much constitutional silver should you have? Fundamental value. Well, the fundamental value of silver right now is somewhere in the vicinity of 1,800 an ounce. So let's just say that your what we do is we have it all broken down, like what is best paid with barterable silver, what is best paid with barterable gold. So it's hard to do just a blanket answer, but if you call us, we can tell you what you need, and it will be based on your current cost of living and what your standard of living is, and then how much gold and silver you need to support that, the barterable, and how much cash you need too. How much in gold backs do you need? How much in digital do you need? We'll help you figure all of that out, but there is not a blanket answer. What I can tell you that I've done for myself and my daughters is I have enough barterable silver and barterable gold to cover their standard of living for each one of us 10 years. This is a global issue. This is going to take a while to work through. So I wish I could give you a blanket answer, but it varies from person to person and what they're trying to accomplish. Thank you guys so much for being here. I love the questions. Anyone that you think, write down. I'll be back. I'll see you next week. Different time, 3 o'clock Arizona time, but I will be here. And until next we meet, I 100% know that together we can make a positive difference for all the world, even if they don't realize they need it. And until next we meet, please be safe out there. Bye-bye.